What is up, everyone? Hope everything is well. I want to start a new series which I think is kind of interesting. The last few weeks I've been watching, maybe binging, a bunch of movies, and every time I watch one, I can't help but think, but this bloody movie is communist, I just can't seem to shake the thought, so I wanted to explore this in a new series. So let's start off with an easy one, very obvious, and that is the movie In Time. The 2011 science fiction thriller In Time is on its surface a sick action movie starring Justin Timberlake and some other lady. They are running from shadowy enforcers in this dystopian future, but if you strip away the gleaming forearm with a glowing green countdown clock, and what you have is the most nakedly, almost embarrassingly communist film ever produced by a major Hollywood studio. Like I said, this is not a subtle reading. This is not a stretch. In Time does not hide its Marxist sympathies behind allegory. It practically staples a copy of Das Kapital to the opening credits and dares you to look away. Let's begin with the world itself. In the film's near future, genetically engineered humans have halted aging at the age of 25. The catch is that everyone is born with exactly 1 year on their biological clock, and then it runs out, they obviously die, shocker. Time has replaced money as the currency of society. You earn time, spend time, and either accumulate it or perish from its absence. The rich, the time haves, live in a very luxurious time zone called New Greenwich, effectively immortal, lounging in enormous houses and casually betting centuries over poker games.
Bet you 50 years.
The poor, the time have-nots, live in Dayton. It's a ghetto where a cup of coffee costs 4 minutes and a bus ride home from your work might cost more than you earned the entire day.
4 minutes for a cup of coffee?
Yesterday it was 3.
You want coffee or you want to reminisce?
2 coffees. How many shifts you got today, bro?
Just 2.
They live literally minute to minute. Some die mid-sentence. In Time has taken Marx's concept of surplus value, the idea that workers produce more value than they are compensated for, and then the difference is extracted by the owning class. In Dayton, people work all day and receive just enough time to survive until the next shift. The system is engineered to keep them alive enough to keep working and nothing more. The wealthy do not work. They simply hold time that was at some point produced by the laborers and people of ghettos and zones like Dayton. The mechanism of extraction is explicit. Prices rise in the ghetto whenever wages rise, ensuring that the working class can never truly accumulate. A timekeeper, a type of police force, named Raymond Leon, even admits at some point that the system requires people to die, that immortality for all is economically impossible within the current structure.
You're from here, aren't you?
Long time ago.
Yeah.
I worked out how to escape.
And now you make sure no one else does.
It's the way it has to be. I didn't start the clock. I can't turn it back. I keep it running. I keep time.
He is not a villain, he is doing evil. He is an enforcer who understands the system perfectly and protects it anyways. This brings us to class consciousness, another cornerstone of the Marxist theory. The film's protagonist, Will, which is now Timberlake, begins the story in a state of survival mode, false consciousness. He works, he just scrapes by, he doesn't question anything. His realization comes through contact with a wealthy man named Henry Hamilton, who has lived for over a century and is, by his own admission, tired of it.
Looks like you could use some help yourself.
No thanks.
How old are you? In real time?
28.
I'm 105.
Hamilton gives Will over a century of time and essentially hands him the keys to cross-class mobility. You know this idea that you can't escape the class because you don't have capital. The only way to escape your current class is to be gifted capital, or to rather be born into it. But rather than simply becoming rich and living happily ever after, the capitalist fantasy, Will uses his access to the upper zone to understand the system and eventually dismantle it. His political awakening is the film's spine. Will's partner in the revolution, Sylvia, is the daughter of Philip, one of the most powerful time bankers in the world. Her arc is a classic bourgeoisie becoming revolutionary story. A woman raised in unearned privilege, who, once exposed to the material conditions of the poor, cannot unsee what she has seen. Together, Will and Sylvia become something very close to what Lenin called professional revolutionaries. People who dedicate themselves entirely to the project of dismantling the ruling class's control over the means of production, or in this case, time. They rob her father's bank and distribute centuries to the population of Dayton for free. This is without question a depiction of wealth redistribution enacted through direct action against a capitalist institution, celebrated by the film as heroic. The film is also deeply interested in the violence required to maintain economic inequality. The timekeepers exist not to enforce law in any just sense, but to protect the time wealth of the upper zones. When Will escapes to New Greenwich, Leon follows, not because Will has committed a crime in any moral sense, but because his presence in the wealthy zones destabilizes the class order. A man from Dayton holding a century of time is a threat to the system. Logically, regardless of how he uses it, the state, in time, is explicitly and exclusively a tool of class preservation. There is no pretense otherwise. Some critics dismissed in times as heavily handed. They were right, but for the wrong reasons. The film is heavy-handed not because it's poorly made, but because it is genuinely angry. Nicole, the guy who made In Time, also made another film about genetic class satisfaction because, he only has one setting. Is not interested in nuances when it comes to economic exploitation. He wants you to see the man dying on the streets with 3 seconds left on the clock. And he wants you to connect it to a man in the tower who has so much time he can afford to lose a decade in an evening. In Time ends not with the overthrow of the system. One film can't accomplish that, but with the promise of its destabilization. Will and Sylvia keep running, keep redistributing, keep feeding centuries into a population that was engineered to have none. It is explicitly the beginning of a revolution.
You're late.
Need a minute? Go. Where's our capsule?
Too late.
Every movie is communist, but In Time isn't even trying to hide it. So that is my take. I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel a lot. And see you next time. Have a good one.